Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow, yo.
Welcome back to the Road to Self-Love. It's your boy, Paul Fishman, self-love coach and You Do You activist. Here today with Brie Pugh. I said your last name, right? Do people say Pugh?
Oh my God, I've heard them all.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, it's like a pew in a church.
So, Brie, the focus of self-love is like honoring who you are. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, why you're here, all that jazz.
I'm a coach. I do life and business coaching. I work with rising female entrepreneurs, so women who are in, those birthing stages, those beginning stages of really creating a soul-led business. And I specify the soul part because that is like the essential foundational piece, I believe, to creating a business that can, basically give you everything you want in life, serve the world, and just allow you to be really damn happy every single day. I just truly feel like when you are tuning into yourself, being really honest with yourself, owning who you are, and owning that you have gifts. Like, we all have gifts, we all have things to share, and anybody that says, like, I don't really have anything to offer, that's a limiting belief. That's a lie. Of course you do. You did not come here to this planet to just, sit in a 9-to-5, push paper, like do nothing with your life. Like, something for you too, right? Like, there's everybody, obviously there's, family and success and all the things, but like there's something specific that like you came here to fulfill. I think there's a lot of things you came here to fulfill, but like owning that and sharing it with the world is like, I just want to help people do that.
So in this day and age where it's really, well, I don't want to say easy, but for lack of a better word, easy to like launch something because of the access to the internet and all that stuff. Like, what about those, this is probably just a tangent, but those women who like don't feel called to be an entrepreneur, but maybe essentially might feel shame around the statement that you just made?
Totally. I do work with people for a shorter amount of time that are in that space where they don't actually know what they want. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. I totally don't think that everyone on the planet needs to monetize, what they're here to share in any way. It's possible for everyone, is what I want people to know, is that it doesn't matter what the hell you want to do or what the hell you want to share. If that's something your soul is calling you to do, there's absolutely a need for it in the world, and there are people who will want to invest in that. This is an abundant, infinite universe. There's enough for everybody, and if I'm following my soul's guidance, like I'm in alignment with, the divine, and therefore I get to be an open channel to receive and give.
I felt like I received so much permission from you to just like do me. So I would love to talk about a time when you didn't feel like you were like speaking your truth or like that you were dimming your light, because you haven't always been this radical in this idea of just showing up authentically you. There's been some like silencing that's been going on in your life recently, and I'd love to dive into that if you're willing.
Absolutely. Showing up online and putting yourself out there and putting an offer out there, specifically in coaching to help somebody, all of your shit comes up. And so this whole journey, I'm about 2 years into my business. In my first year of entrepreneurship, I was literally just around my 1 year mark. And I was just like in a very spiritually, energetically open place. I, felt before, especially when I started my business, I've always been an introvert, kind of a private person. So it was very hard for me in the beginning to show up online. Once I started doing that, it kind of just opened my energy up. When you are that open and you don't have boundaries, all kinds of people show up, and you have to have discernment about who you allow into your life and in what capacity. And that was something that I guess I needed to learn because I met an energy healer in the most random way. One night I was trying to get to the other side of town, LA traffic, and I took a shared ride, and there was this guy in the back, and I had my headphones in, but he started asking me questions, and he said he was a quantum energy healer, and I was like, oh, you know, I do Reiki and I coach. That's great. And we just had this conversation, and he suggested we do an energy exchange sometime. Do you want me to go into this whole story right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So he came to my apartment. I remember being like, something in me was like, should I let this random man into my apartment? You know, to cut to the chase, what I thought was going to be an energy exchange where I gave him a Reiki session and then he gave me an energy session. He said he would go first, and he said he could read my chakra system, and, you know, oh, I see a lot of blocks in your root and your sacral chakra, your first and second chakra, which is around like security, and your second chakra is like your sexual energy, feminine energy, stuff like that. He was like, does this mean anything to you? And I was like, actually, it's interesting because this was the week before my 30th birthday. I was doing a lot of reflecting. And he's like, oh, you know, do you want to heal this? This is a safe space. And I was in a vulnerable place, and he was very smooth in the way that he spoke. Slowly manipulated me into taking my clothes off on the table. I remember we were sitting across from each other, and he was like doing energy work, and he has me going into a 3-part breath, laying on the table, you know, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I don't know if I feel comfortable with this. Like, this feels really uncomfortable, like a lot of guilt and shame coming up. My body is screaming at me that this is weird and uncomfortable and not safe, and I shoved it down. All of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, that's not his hand, and realized that he was totally on top of me and started having sex with me. I just froze. Like, my body went rigid. I feel like I saw myself like laying on the table, like not even knowing that he had taken his clothes off because my eyes were closed. Like, it was so sudden. Then that was it. It only lasted a couple minutes. And then he got up. I didn't even know what had just happened. And then he like made a little bit of small talk, and then he left.
It's unacceptable for men to treat women this way, regardless of whether or not it's as an energy exchange and he's justified it that way, or it's in pure like rage and violence. It's really important for me to let you know that it's not your fault, and I'm sorry as a man.
Thank you. I received that.
I also told you that I probably would cry, so. So like,
right on command.
Woo!
I was so, like, I think confused and ashamed of what had just happened. I didn't realize that I'd been raped. Before he left, you know, I only do this first and second chakra work with about 10 to 20% of my clients. Some women actually get offended when I don't. And to me, in my foggy state, I wasn't like, this is pure manipulation. I was like, oh, okay, this is normal. This was not a weird thing. This is what he does. A week later, I ran into him on the fucking street. And he said, Brie, how are you? And I said, you know, I've been feeling really amazing. I think you shifted something in me. Thank you. And I gave him a fucking hug. It was like, I didn't even know what had happened. I had told 2 close friends. It was really difficult to even tell them, and they were like, okay. And I don't even know if they knew what to say. And I put it away. The week of my best friend's wedding, where I was the maid of honor, I realized I was late, and I was fucking pregnant. And so it was when I realized I was pregnant that I also realized I'd been raped. And it was all at once. So it was like this double whammy of like, oh my God. You just tell yourself all the things of how it was your fault, how could you have let this happen?
So how do you go from, you know, being pissed at yourself to like moving through that?
You know, I think deep down I know it's not my fault. These are the cards that have been dealt, so how am I going to respond? We get to choose how we respond. And it was just such a good opportunity for that. But I figured it out, and I ended up getting an abortion the week after my friend's wedding. And that in itself was an experience. They don't really warn you. But yeah, that's what happened. And then the healing journey was just a whole other thing that I, you know, ignored and pushed down for a long time. So I didn't tell my family.
what happened when you did share? What was the reaction from your parents, your friends, your family? Like, what happened?
God, it was so hard. I waited 9 months to tell them. So when I told my family finally, everything made sense. All the unspoken stuff that they were like, because I was kind of like keeping a big, not a secret, but like a big thing from them that I didn't even realize was so big at the time. My business had gone dry. And after I told my family and had really started doing this inner work, I signed more clients in that month than I'd ever signed in my business. And it was like the floodgates opened and stuff just started shifting into place. The next big wave of healing has been deciding to share the story online. There's women all over the world that have been through assault, have been through trauma. Some of them have shared it. Some of them have never told a soul. I think the biggest thing I realized was like, I didn't realize how much my story was going to help other people to heal, and consecutively heal myself at a deeper level at the same time.